Hello crafters, this is Cindy B from www.mrsbscraftroom.blogspot.com. Today I'm here with a card that I made using the Songbird cartridge. This is the cartridge that we'll be using today. The Songbird cartridge, at first I wasn't that impressed with it, but as I have dug through the handbook, I have discovered some little hidden gems. So this particular cartridge is made out of two cuts, the flower pot with the bird cut and then the flower cut. So let's get started and I'll show you how I made this card. Okay, using the handbook, on page 73, we cut out both the shadow and the regular cut of the flower pot and the bird. Then on page 57, I cut out the flower image with the number 8 over here. It's the flower image. It's actually one of the only images that is a normal flower with just the image. And because there weren't any layers or anything like that, I went ahead and cut this image 3 times, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I created some layers myself. So for the card base, I'm using Paper Tray Ink Summer Sunset. And I've cut the base, the card base, at 5.5 by 4 1/4, and we'll just fold that over. And we're making a standard A2 card size. Now for the background pieces, I am using my new, loving it, Cosmo Cricut Material Girl little small deck. I love these little small papers. The prints are much smaller than the 12 by 12 paper. Makes it perfect for making cards. So I'm using this particular image, and I'm using the terracotta tile from Paper Tray Ink to back that on. So let's adhere that to our cardstock. And then to add a little border on the bottom, I'm using a contrasting piece from the same decorative paper stack. And this, I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Punch and punch a border. And then I want to highlight that border a little bit, so I cut a little piece of brown cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, and I'm going to apply that just to the bottom edge of that scallop border. Looks like it's a little too long, so we'll just trim off that excess right there. There we go. And then I'm going to apply that piece to the card front. And then I'm going to use a piece of Paper Tray Ink ribbon and put over the top where the two pieces of cardstock meet. Oops, a little crooked. Let's fix that. All right, and then we'll adhere this to our card base. There we go. So now we have the base of our card. So now let's get started and add the elements. So I cut this flower pot and the bird image, and I cut the shadow out of brown, and then I cut again the regular cut out of the terracotta tile, and then because it didn't have a layering function, I went ahead and cut the same cut again out of the Summer Sunset, and then I snipped the little bird off of the full cut, added a little bit of chalk and white gel pen around the edges, and voila, I've got a little layered cute element. Now one thing that's missing from my little birdie is his eye. What I like to use are these little bitty dots. I think I bought these at Michael's. And take a little dot off and apply as the little bird's eye. I think that looks cuter than making a dot using a marker. So there's the little flower pot made. Next, I cut the flower. Again, I told you I cut the flower 3 times. So I cut it once out of green, once out of yellow, the summer sunset, and then once out of vintage cream in ivory color. And what I did is I took my chalks and I chalked around the edges of the flower. I wanted to give it the effect that it was a multicolor flower. So I just added some rust, etc. around the edges of the flower. And then for the leaf, I'll add the dark green. And this just gives it a little bit of dimension. And there we go. Is add a little button. So I've already added the twine onto the button and just apply it in the center of the flower. So now what we want to add some little white gel highlights with our white gel pen. And that's fairly simple to do. And then we're going to glue the flower onto the flower pot. So to do that, we'll be using our little glue pen. There we go. Next, we're going to want to adhere, I want to adhere the flower pot and the flower to our card base, and I'll be using Pop Dots. These are Stampin' Up! Pop Dots, my favorite. I'm going to put this over a little bit to the left because I want to add the sentiment on the right side of the card. And I'm making this card as a birthday card. Okay, so one of the last elements I want to put on, I'm going to add a button here instead of using a bow. So I'm using my twine from Paper Tray Ink, which I absolutely love. And the button is also from Paper Tray Ink. It's the terracotta tile, so it matches our cardstock. And I'm just going to tie a bow with my twine. And then apply a button onto the card with a couple of Pop Dots. And we're going to apply it right, oops, there. Okay, and I'm making this into a birthday card, so I'm going to stamp, it says happy birthday to you. This is a Paper Tray Ink stamp, and I'm using Paper Tray Ink, just black ink. And then I'm going to be using my Stampin' Up! Oval punch. Just punch that out. And because I've got the Pop Dots with the flower pot already, I'm not going to pop that sentiment up. I'm just going to lay it flat on the card. So we will adhere that with adhesive. And there we go. Cute little card using the Songbird cartridge. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.